Taxpayers are the ones stuck with the bill. The supervisor and others get unusual perks, including $600 a day for every day they travel out of state for the township, and $400 per day for travel within Illinois, plus the cost of their travel expenses. We asked Henyard's successor whether he agrees with the supersized paydays.
What you make is based upon what you are able to deliver. That's more so saying, like, people believe that professional athletes shouldn't get paid millions of dollars, that doctors should be, or teachers for that matter. So I'm not going to get here and go into a debate about what should be getting or what should be this salary.
So let's talk about Napoleon Harris, because that terrible answer he gave a couple months ago in April. Yeah, we didn't forget. He basically said, "I'm here to get as much money as I can." No shame. This man is comparing himself, a former NFL athlete, millionaire, part of a multi-billion-dollar league, to a broke-down local township. I'm not saying he's dumb, but let's be honest, he's smart enough to rob that township blind and keep a straight face. And now Ben Bradley of WGN just exposed him again. The vibe in that room, tense. You could feel how mad Napoleon was just being questioned. That's what happens when the same corrupt crew gets recycled, just a different face. Same hustle. And now this dude is walking out of there with a $200,000 plus paycheck for being a first-time township supervisor. And no, he has zero interest in lowering that salary. No humility, no shame. Just greed with a fake smile. Now let's get into the law, because the state law is very clear. I looked it up myself. You cannot raise your salary during your term. That's been on the books. And when asked about it, Napoleon started stuttering like he got caught copying off someone's test. No, that's not what I proposed. What did you propose then, sir? Because you're a state senator, and you suddenly sound like you woke up confused in your own office, we're literally 10 seconds in, and this man is fumbling like it's open mic night. All they did was ask about a basic ethics law, and he acted like they asked him to solve a math problem in Mandarin. Help me understand, bro. You wrote the thing. You co-sponsored the bill. You lobbied for it, and now you're pretending like it magically appeared out of nowhere. It's giving guilty with extra sauce. Here's the kicker. When you compare the language in his bill to the one that eventually passed, identical word for it, copy-paste energy. And just to make it even shadier, it was buried deep. On page 90 of a completely unrelated bill about Crohn's and colitis disease, you tried to sneak a pay raise into a health awareness bill. That's not just corruption, that's legislative sleight of hand. That's hiding a $100,000 salary bump inside a pamphlet about colon health. And somehow he still wants to talk about doing right by the people. He campaigned on transparency, and now he's caught playing budget magician with public money. And when someone finally calls him out, suddenly he's confused, nervous, and trying to backpedal like it's not his name on the paper. That wasn't a rookie mistake. That wasn't a technical error. That was a calculated move to quietly stuff cash into his own pocket and hope no one reads the fine print. And when Ben Bradley said, "You proposed this bill," and hit him with the facts, Napoleon froze. Denied it, but the paper trail doesn't lie. It's literally the same wording, same law, just hidden inside something that sounds noble on the surface. Oh, and don't miss this, that Crohn's bill. It was just a shell. In Springfield, shell bills get used to sneak through all kinds of unrelated laws, and Napoleon knew that. So he used a medical awareness bill as camouflage to quietly authorize massive midterm pay raises. That's not leadership, that's manipulation. That's corruption, dressed up in a suit and pretending to care about public service. The original intent of that bill was completely gutted. Napoleon Harris tried to play legislative magician, hiding his massive raise inside a health awareness resolution. That's not just sneaky, that's downright manipulative. It's like taking $10,000 in taxpayer money and calling it a charity. On the surface, it sounds noble, but in reality, it's a Trojan horse. You think you're voting to support people? Suffering from a medical condition, and buried inside is a 6-figure raise for a guy already pulling in a hefty paycheck. This wasn't an accident, this was by design. Harris is now set to collect $22,000 from the township, plus another $54,000 in expenses. Add that to his $123,000 state senator salary, and we're looking at just under $380,000 a year taxpayer funded. And this is happening in a community where many families live below the poverty line. Let's not forget, under Tiffany Henyard's rule, residents were forced to subsidize luxury travel, expensive meals, and who knows what else. Now it looks like the Democratic machine has a firm grip on Thornton Township. You'd think, after everything these residents have endured, the new leadership would be different. But nah, the township doesn't care who the supervisor is as long as the checks keep coming. Look at the security guide doing his job. But the man next to him, that's the media guy, he was ride or die for Tiffany Henyard. Now he's spinning PR for Napoleon Harris. You think he really cares? Or is he just protecting his paycheck? Either way, now he's running interference for Harrison. It's a bad look. He's deflecting questions, worrying about the clock. You can tell they're panicking. This news segment is going to expose him, and now they're trying to soften the blow. Sad dot. So, Napoleon, is it really a good look for you to repeat the same shady behavior? You criticized. Oh, I never criticized her publicly, he says. Come on, man, that's weak. He says he's focused on doing what's right for the people of Thornton Township. Taking a $200,000 salary in your first year isn't what's right. What's wrong? And let's be real, the man barely speaks, and now we see why. Every time he opens his mouth, it's worse. You start to understand why people in his circle probably tell him to stay quiet. This was the moment the mask slipped, instead of being the hero people hoped for. Napoleon Harris turned out to be just another career politician dodging accountability, like he's starring in The Matrix. $380,000 for 2 part-time positions. Let that sink in. And it's not just about money. It's about integrity. Harris says your worth should be evaluated based on what you deliver. But in year 1, what did he deliver besides cashing in? Nothing. So what's he talking about? When you strip away the spin, the silence, and the sidestepping, you're left with the same story. Another politician cashing out while the community gets crumbs. Thornton Township was supposed to be for people struggling to make ends meet. But here we are, watching Napoleon Harris live it up like it's a 5-star vacation steak. Lobster, all on the taxpayer's dime. It's giving let them eat cake energy, and I don't even think he realizes or cares how bad the optics look. The easiest, most decent thing to do would have been to say, I'll take the original first-year supervisor salary, not swoop in and try to match Frank Zuccarelli's salary, the man who built that role over 30 years. That makes 0 sense. All Harris had to do was own it. But this moment right here, it shows everything. He doesn't respect accountability. He's irritated someone even dared to question him. So, shout out to Ben Bradley for walking in and doing what needed to be done. And honestly, I can't wait for the next township meeting. I want residents to show up and start asking the hard questions like, where's the audit? How much money did Tiffany Henyard actually steal, if any? Don't we deserve to know that? And more importantly, Napoleon Harris, are you going to do the right thing? Are you going to take the base supervisor salary like any decent person would? Or are you going to keep stacking paychecks like you're the CEO of Thornton Inc.? And while we're at it, can you at least apologize for trying to sneak a 6-figure raise into a Crohn's and colitis awareness bill? That was wild. Let's not rewrite history or pretend that didn't happen. Stop embarrassing the township. Just be a decent leader for once. I want to believe he'll do the right thing, but let's be real. He probably won't. People are already fed up with Tiffany Henyard's luxury lifestyle, the overspending, the first-class drama, and that dictator-level PR machine she built. When Harris stepped in, folks were hopeful he'd clean it up. But instead, he's just picking up where she left off. The trustees don't ask questions. They don't challenge him. They rubber stamp everything. It's pathetic. So yeah, I'll probably live stream the next township meeting. And I hope some bold residents show up ready to ask real questions. Questions that demand real answers. And hopefully Napoleon Harris can actually speak up. Because seriously, this man is a former NFL player, and half the time we can't even hear what he's saying. Bro, you make too much money to mumble. Use your voice. The people are listening. But here we are, still doing this, still watching the same mess play out. Let me know what you think in the comments below.